Yeah, this one's gonna need a drink. Hey everybody, welcome back to It's Too Late to Apologize Book Reviews. I'm Stella, and today we're gonna do something a little different. Today, we're gonna have a bit of a discussion. So pour yourself a little glass of something you enjoy, and let's get into it. So, I've been thinking about doing this video for quite some time, and it was only recently after doing the philosophy of reading tag that was created by Brandon over at Brandon's Bookshelf. He then followed that up with a video about Bukowski, how he felt sort of conflicted because he really enjoyed Bukowski's work, but yet Bukowski held a lot of beliefs or attitudes that he didn't agree with. And so this sort of resonated with me because I've been thinking about doing this video for a while and I just hadn't gotten around to it. And so just figured now was the time. So thanks, Brendan. Today I want to talk a little bit about Stoicism and also Seneca. And I also have Marcus Aurelius. I've read both of these books, and these two individuals were quite different characters. And I feel like it somewhat applies to Brandon's plight of Seneca being considered a Stoic, and yet lived his life in a way and manner that seemed to defy what he was pursuing in his Stoicism. And so many people feel that he is a complete hypocrite. So let's talk about it. Now, I haven't written anything or prepared anything, so I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants here, so I apologize in advance for all the rambling that's about to occur. So, I enjoy reading about Stoicism. Do I consider myself a Stoic? I don't know about that. I find a lot of the merits of Stoicism or the philosophy of Stoicism aligns with my own personal perceptions and beliefs, and so I enjoy reading about it at times. I feel you always have to go into reading anything, be it books, be it philosophy, be anything with a critical thinking mind. You do not want to go into everything just believing everything you're reading. You want to think critically about it. You want to weigh the pros, weigh the cons. As I said in another video, you want to chew on the meat and you want to spit out the bones, right? In that perspective, first of all, Marcus Aurelius, author of Meditations, this was never work that was ever meant to see the light of day. Many people consider Marcus Aurelius a Stoic, but everything that he wrote in Meditations, he really wrote for himself. It was never supposed to get out. It was him talking to himself. He was trying to coach himself and keep in his mind's eye what his goals and how he thought a noble life was supposed to be lived. I really enjoyed reading Meditations because it is so personal. It is so intimate. The glimpse that you get into this man's mind. He had so much power and so much influence, and for him to walk the talk that he was giving to himself was impressive. You know, I don't know the ins and outs of Marcus Aurelius's life. I think I would love to read a biography about him, and if anyone has any that they would recommend, please leave it in the comments down below. He was a great man who served his country and expanded his empire, and he would not stay in his ivory tower. He would go amongst the people during this plague because he felt and believed that he needed to serve the people. He was there in his position to serve the people. So, I mean, I haven't encountered much criticism of Marcus Aurelius and his life, and he seemed to embody the philosophies of Stoicism and lived by those philosophies to the degree that he could. On the other hand, you will find plenty of criticism about Seneca, and I find this really interesting because there is an idealization of ascetic lifestyle in Stoicism about only having what you need and not being blinded by the excess of possessions. And even Seneca himself really mimicked the accusations thrown at him that he was hypocritical in what he sort of preached as opposed to the life he was living. And for those that don't know, so Seneca was extremely rich. He was the upper echelon of society in Rome, and had lived a very lavish and expensive life and owned villas in different cities. And I find it interesting the expectation that humans place on the expectation that they need to be perfect or execute all their beliefs perfectly in order for them to be a proponent of that belief. I think it's sort of dangerous territory, personally, because I think the most wisdom can be attained by people who have been doing it wrong and know they have been doing it wrong. You know? Is there wisdom to be gleaned from someone who's never made a mistake? I don't know. And the idea that you can only pass along wisdom if you yourself are faultless seems hypocritical, because none of us are faultless. All of us are doing something that we'd rather not be doing at any given time. And we know that we shouldn't be doing those things, and yet we still do them. We could tell other people that they shouldn't do these things, but yet be criticized because we ourselves are struggling with giving up those exact things, I don't think diminishes the wisdom that can be taken from that person's perspective. I think, if anything, it makes me pay attention even more closely, being mindful of obviously thinking critically about everything that this person is saying and divulging. I think it's much more important to focus on people struggling between the gap between how they are and how they want to be. I find the people struggling with that gap the most intriguing. The people who feel that they can live what they preach easily without any trouble, I have a really hard time believing and trusting that person's message because there's no struggle in it. I feel like there's only real learning in the struggle. Am I making any sense? This video is going to be nothing but a huge ramble. I think there can be a real danger in the pursuit of perfection because it doesn't exist, or the idea that the only people who should be listened to are perfect. Those people don't exist. I would much rather hear about the moral struggles that someone in the trenches who is trying to overcome their struggles is dealing with than someone who has never had to struggle with any of those dilemmas, who the assumed right choice is so easy that it doesn't have any thought behind it. And I'm not saying that that's what necessarily people want. And I'm not saying that's even who Marcus Aurelius was, because he had this diary where he was writing his thoughts to remind himself of his own struggle. Like, so he was struggling, and I mean, if he wasn't struggling, he wouldn't be writing his own thoughts, you know? So he was still even struggling with his thoughts and who he thought he should be and how he thought he should behave. And I think, to a very real point, Seneca's hypocrisy is visible in all of us. We're all hypocrites, and we should never forget that hypocrisy, because that would be a huge disservice to ourselves and to society. It stunts growth. And I feel that Seneca's struggle is sort of admirable, because through constantly looking at his sort of financial gluttony, he also refused to give up on the problem that he knew he hadn't solved. His willingness to keep looking and examining this thing he knew he wasn't getting right. And acknowledging one's inability to live up to their own ideals has a lot of merit. And it doesn't mean that you abandon the ideals. You're recognizing that you're struggling with it. I think it's always a good idea to read other perspectives, to really understand what makes a person who they are, to not get caught up in the idea of who a person is, but understanding that everyone's just a human being. Everyone's having their own human experience. And to think that you yourself wouldn't have those same struggles given the situation that person found themselves in is, I think, really naive and in the end even more hypocritical. And I just find it interesting because, you know, in the current culture that we have, everybody's lives are online and everything can be, you can find dirt on anybody. Depending on the extremity of that dirt, that person's whole life can be affected by that. And And I think this does a serious disservice because as a human being, you should be evolving your entire life. Everybody has done something that they're not proud of at some point in their life. And hopefully, moving forward, they will not behave in those same ways and be growing throughout their entire lifetime. So to hold someone accountable for something they did, when they were a teenager, or possibly they'd already apologized for that thing. There are severities to this that, obviously I'm kind of glazing over here, but it's an interesting debate on ethics. And I don't know if this is going to make any sense once I go back to edit it, because it's just going to be rambling for a really long time. But anywho, what are your thoughts on the topic? Do you read the opinions of people you disagree with, or hold offensive opinions, or are hypocrites? What are your thoughts? Reading about those people, their works, and their lives, do you feel that it's important? Do you feel that they should be avoided? Do you feel that they should be banned? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. So let me know. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.